Okay, guys, so we are live! So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I'll be your friendly shop steward today, because today we are carrying on our ongoing campaign playing Paizo Publishing's outstanding Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And we are playing that in our custom setting of the Spires of Paridar, a setting, a Coalpunk setting of occult conspiracy, class disparity, and industrial progress. And with me today are the stars of the Spires of Paridar campaign, the Illuminators themselves. I'll go the order I've got you guys on the screen here. Why don't you tell us who you are and who you're playing today? First up, we've got Darren.
Hello there. Yeah, I'm playing Dr. Adam Ersprung, who is a created flesh warp inventor. And as always, he's got his trusty sidekick, Igor.
Very nice. Next up is James.
I'm James, and I'm playing Sally Dumer, the ancient scale Azar-Katie monk detective.
Very nice.
Socialite.
Nice. Next up is Ingolf.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ingolf. I'm playing Basil Rathbone, who is an Isoki investigator, or red folk, as they are sometimes called.
Nice. And last, but certainly not least, is Sean.
Hey, I'm playing Golag, son of Doc. He is an orc witch detective, and suddenly fairly estranged from his family, apparently.
Yeah, that's true. Unrecognized son of Doc, I guess. So this is part 4 of our current mystery, Guile, the Gaslight Man. What has happened thus far, guys? Ms. Dumer missed our last session, which means that she did not have the pleasure of the home visit from the subject of one of your last investigations. And in fact, I don't know if actually if Ms. Dumer heard about the info dump that you guys got from Raldi Galberry 2 sessions ago.
Oh.
I think, wasn't she there, I suppose?
I think it's
About the tulip.
Were you there about when they discovered about the tulpa?
yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I mistook it for a flower. Yeah.
Killer flower?
Tulip.
So what happened last time, guys?
Yeah, we had an unpleasant office call by Zane Saxon, unsubtle, large gentleman with an even larger cane, seemingly, and he came by to intimidate and to incentivize. I don't know if that counts as a bribe to take you off a case, but something like that. Incentivize us to pass on our current case, and all it took was to Golag to say, "I won't give you an answer," and he thundered off with a threat, and then was it Basil that determined that he had an immediate meeting with our relatively newly discovered counterparts of my father's growing industry, growing corporation, growing concern.
The IOU.
IOU. That's right. What else? What did we do next? We oh, didn't you, Basil? Didn't you go to the street to look into my father's estrangement with me? Something like that? Or we thought about doing that. Did we do that?
Yeah, we thought about that, but I think you were. I think actually you were going to visit some woman who made the paintings. This Vesta King.
That was the culmination.
Yeah, wasn't Adam? Was this the last session or the session before when you were at the corners?
Yeah, that was the session before I went to the coroner. Yeah. So last session, Golag spent that evening looking at himself or his painting.
Yeah.
Before.
Rumor, that is pure conjecture, my friend.
Well, I think Basil walked in and found you still up at like some silly hour in the morning.
He made some presumptions.
Yeah, he did. So that was after seeing Annabelle from the IOU at Babwell's office. And then I think Golag did some magic on the book or the letter to and saw that Babwell had hidden it in his desk at his office, which we sort of maybe had decided that was the case. But so yeah, he had received the letter, so that confirmed that. And then we ended it with Golag and Adam visiting Vesta King, where she's painted some more paintings of Golag, and we left it with, I think, Adam looking at Golag as he sort of turned round, and all his tattoos had disappeared from his face after seeing these new paintings. And I think that's where we left it. Strange occurrence.
Ms. Dumer, do you have any questions?
Nope. That's.
Okay. Then.
I don't like Annabelle O'Loughlin, though.
No,
Yeah.
Dr. Ersprung had a quick chat with her as well.
Yeah, she said she's investigating us, basically. She said, as a courtesy, I'll give you a heads up that we've been employed to look into what you're up to.
Yeah.
Saxon.
Basil did manage to slip away, leaving Crucius Cain seemingly unaware. And I think Golag and Dr. Ersprung made no effort to try and hide where they were going.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, this King guy, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that this King guy, he does not look trustworthy at all. I mean, that's for sure.
Being a cat.
But when,
don't mention that word. That's too much.
Did we actually see anyone following us when we went to see Miss King?
I don't think you looked.
No. I didn't know if it was obvious, because that Crucius Cain guy, he seemed to be fairly obviously watching the office. But okay.
That one was actually he wasn't. At least I don't remember him being terribly obvious. It was more that Basil is quite perceptive.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think we were okay with them following you, because this Vesta King business might not be directly
didn't think it was related, did we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might even prove to provide a red herring for our erstwhile shadows.
Okay. So, are there any other things we missed, or any questions, Ms. Dumer?
No, let's
Okay.
proceed on.
Then we'll pick up back at the King residence. And we have Golag with no tattoos on his face. I don't know why I said that way. The Dr. Ersprung, your reaction to seeing a blemish-free Golag. One thing you can notice up close is that the markings, while you've seen Golag's shadowy tattoos fall off his face before, you've never really studied up close what's happened. But in the light of day, in the middle of this salon where there's good lighting to view these paintings, what you can see is that the spaces where the tattoos would be normally, there is actual what appears to be scarification.
And do the tattoos normally disappear when the shadow sort of comes away from?
When he pulls the shadow off of him, those tattoos normally fall away.
But it doesn't leave any sort of
You're not
scarring.
sure, to be honest. I'm not sure you've seen it, because typically he's shrouded by shadows anyway, so when he does send the shadow out, you haven't taken an opportunity to take a good look during the daytime when his shadow familiar is gone. This is the first time you've seen that, and you can see that where the tattoo markings were, there's actual ritual scarification now.
So with that sort of thought process of the shadow leaving him when he's lost the tattoos in the past, I'll have a look around and see, is he like got a shadow? Is he casting a shadow, or can I see the shadow appeared in the picture, or something weird that might
give us a perception check,
what's
please.
happened?
Are you giving any indication? Maybe Golag, why don't you give us a perception check as well? See if you can notice the strange reaction that Dr. Ursprung is having.
Okay.
Your portrait artist is not reacting in any kind of, untoward way.
I'm going to re-roll that as well. That's
Okay.
rubbish. Right, let's start something better than that. Oh, we're much better.
Okay. Why don't you take another hero point too? We did start a little bit late, so we'll start one at 12 noon my time, and then we'll grant another one at 12:30. It's huge improvement.
Yeah.
The one. So what? First off, Golag, what you can see, there is a look of concern on Dr. Ursprung's face as he looks at you, and then he seems to be looking around the room. Dr. Ursprung, you can see that Golag is not casting a shadow, though the light is going directly towards him, and he should have one. And if you look up in the paintings, maybe it's your eyes playing tricks on you, but it seems almost like one is something moving from one to the other. And then when you look back at Golag, the shadow is back. His tattoos are the same. If you look at Miss King, it is King, isn't it? That's her surname?
It's King, yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's the
Okay.
King, yeah.
When you look at Miss King, she doesn't have an expression on her face to suggest that anything has gone wrong or awry.
Am I aware of what happened with my shadow? Do I know? No. Okay.
No, you sort of zoned out there for a time. You were staring at that one, and then you heard Dr. Ursprung kind of calling your name. You look back, and then he saw the tattoos were gone. But yeah, Dr. Ursprung definitely seems concerned about something. No doubt in your mind.
Tell me, Dr. Ursprung.
Well, I assume Vesta King and everyone else is sort of in close.
Yeah, Vesta is right here. Her mother is sort of at the entrance to the salon.
So I think I'll try and change the subject, and I'll say, Miss King, we've come for not only to look at your new artworks. I know Golag was very interested in seeing the new pictures, but we was hoping you might be able to help us with someone you might not want to bring back memories of, but
Mrs. King takes a couple steps in to the room, kind of getting ready to be protective of her daughter.
Yes. Miss, is it Fallow?
Gwendolyn Fallow, yes.
Gwendolyn Fallow, yes. Unfortunately, we believe, rumours of Gwendolyn Fallow resurfacing, and we know you've had dealings with her.
Is that, and Mrs. King steps forward, it's that Thorngrow's ally.
That was our understanding.
Mrs. King kind of moves over and puts her arms around her daughter, and she says, "Is she back? Is Vesta in danger?"
Well, that was one of the reasons for coming here, to give you a warning that she may be back.
Golag, while Dr. Ursprung is talking, to give you context of what Vesta is doing, she has not left your eye contact. If you look away and then look back, she is just locked on you and has a adoring look on her face. Sorry, go ahead, Doctor.
Yeah, we are worried that she may be up to some of her old tricks, and I was hoping Vesta might be able to maybe give us any sort of help where we might find her, or any insight that may help us to track her down.
So Vesta finally, without leaving her eyes from Golag, says, "I've not seen Gwendolyn again. I am beyond her now."
Beyond her in what way?
And she, her eyes finally turn and look at you, and for a brief moment, Dr. Earthsprung, it appears as if the hazel in her eyes has been swallowed by the pupil, and it's just black eyes on white eyeballs looking at you. And she says, I am beyond her. And Mrs. King says, you mean past her? And Vesta just gets a smile on her face. She blinks and her eyes seem to be back to normal.
Psycho!
And Mrs. King says, well, there you are. She's past her now. Should we contact the constabulary?
I'm not sure what they'd be able to do.
Is there something you can do then to protect her?
Well, the best thing we can do is try and find her as quick as possible and find out what she's up to.
Well, Vesta has said she does not know. Is that right, Vesta? And Vesta just does not speak and just shakes her head. Her eyes are once again back on Golag.
And is that obvious to me as well?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Vesta, any idea where this fellow is? I know you don't have contact with her, but do you have any thoughts?
She shakes her head. No. Not leaving your eyes. Mrs. King says, well, there you have it. It seems you've had your answer. Now, if you do not wish to purchase any of Vesta's paintings, and Vesta says, oh, but for Golag, and she says, you will not be giving any more away, Vesta. If you do not wish to purchase any paintings, and we will thank you for your seeing to her, Doctor. She is otherwise physically and mentally fit.
I did give her a quick look over, didn't I, when we first come in?
Yep.
And there was nothing obvious.
Yeah, she's so peculiar,
physically,
obviously, but nothing that, like, she's not dissociating, she's not, hallucinating anything, it seems. She's just very peculiar.
Is there anything that Golag can read off her occult wise? Like, look, what is going on here? I mean, if you notice the eyes,
you actually, well, give us a perception check. Let's see if you did. Yeah, you probably saw that for a brief moment. Without more to go on, there's nothing further you would gain from a skill check necessarily. So, and she seems to be presenting about the same that you did before. What you know too is that this is whatever. Just as a refresher, whatever went on with her. Remember, she's the one who ended up in a sanatorium when the Elder Order of the Endless Odyssey attempted to do that possession thing they were doing with the other people, with the shadow creatures. Mm-hmm. What that actually means, who knows? Was it an imperfect connection? Was there too much of a connection? Was there something altogether different that happened? It's uncertain at present. What Dr. Earthsprung's been able to do is medically get her to a point where she can return to some degree of functioning once again. But as far esoterically, what happened, who knows?
Am I able to pull the mother to one side and have a quick sort of word with her?
Yep. She's very grateful. You're the one who restored her daughter to a level of wellness to be able to return to the family. So yeah, she adores you.
I'll just say I am a bit concerned about the returning of this fellow. So if you do see or hear anything, or if if your daughter should, have any sort of issues or anything where you think, she's in danger or her health is changing in some way, you must make contact with us. I am concerned that she may be up to her old tricks.
But after what that woman has done to our family, Doctor, to be frank, if I see her, I will kill her.
Oh. I understand your hostility towards her, and I think our group has a similar mindset, to be honest.
Take
She's
her
a
on
very
another train
dangerous
ride.
woman.
Yeah, well, that's. Oh, so go. Sorry. I was gonna say, well, that's going on. I will, kind of turn Vesta's shoulder to have a chat with her about apparently about a painting.
Okay.
But I didn't mean to. If you were still going to continue, please.
Don't. Doctor, anything further?
No, I was just sort of trying to separate her away.
Sure.
Give Golag a chance and just say that.
Yeah.
So, Golag, if you turn her back towards the paintings, then Vesta says, "What do you think, Golag?"
I think they show great skill, Vesta. Great skill. Say, I noticed that you're. I'm not sure how maybe Golag would describe it, but I like her eyes changing. I
thought we were about to witness Golag flirting here for a second. I'm not sure how Golag would put it, but
I don't know if Golag knows what that is. Maybe, but so he says, I noticed some kind a manifestation of some kind of perhaps magical manifestation. Tell me, have you pursued? Have you made magical pursuits while we've in the meantime since we've seen each other?
She looks perplexed at you. I don't know what you mean, Golag.
Well, in your paintings show a certain insight, and just now in your face, I noticed your eyes disappeared, and there was a certain magical effect, a magical visage that can happen when magic is present. And I was just curious if you pursued any of this.
She laughs and says, "Oh, you tease. My paintings are not that good."
Do you have a magical mentor, Vesta?
I don't know what you mean, Golag. And she's locked eyes with you, and you're not sure if it's just her usual creepiness or whether there's a case of blatant lying and is just staring you in the face with it.
Would Golag be aware? Let's say she was practicing, practicing or inadvertently or inadvertently practicing some kind of magic that, for instance, Golag practices. Does Golag think he'd be aware?
So what you know is that magic in Paridar functions the way it does in PF2, which is to say that spells would require typically verbal, somatic, potentially material components. So there's different components that are required when a spell is invoked. That's the most common way of manifesting magic. There are other things that are just inherently magic that can have abilities manifest and that they don't necessarily follow those same rules. As far as spell magic is concerned, you did not witness her making any somatic gestures that would be consistent with any kind of magic with which you're familiar. You did not see her making use of any material components to invoke any effect. And you didn't hear her say any magic words, whether occultic, arcane, primal, or otherwise.
Like when Golag's shadow leaves his face, so there's no spell being cast, but something's happening because of familiars there. And
exactly.
Would I have any, when her eyes change like that, am I able to theorize at all on what happened there? No.
I'll tell you, forgive me if I've told you this story before, but there's a great, one of the early issues of the old DC Dungeons and Dragons comics. There's a guy who talks about that one of the halfling characters, he's finds someone who is disguised as one of his allies, who then cranks him on the head and takes the magic item that he was supposed to have. And he was saying, well, I mean, it's a thing that was disguised as another thing. I mean, how many can there be? And there's this fucking great panel of his head and then all the suggestions of all the spells and magic items and monsters that can disguise themselves, which is to say, like, there's just so many fucking possibilities in this kind of world. That's like, well, I mean, we don't know. Without more information, it's impossible to tell. Which is a way of saying the series by Rags Morales, and so the art is by Rags Morales. I believe it's written by Jeff Grubb too. So worth tracking down still if it's something that sounds interesting. But I mentioned all of that to say that there's so many things that could be causing that. Who knows? Like, she could be a match, she could be possessed, she could have a familiar as well, but you wouldn't know what that is just based on a slight effect on her eyes. A magic item wouldn't necessarily require her to activate that too. Some do, some do not.
So, Vesta, if you do, by chance, note something that you don't understand, perhaps, magically, you should contact me. That's all.
Are you inviting me to call on you, Golag? That's most bold.
Well, understand that our firm is very it has knowledge that I think could prove helpful if you do run into something magical, because it can be puzzling if you happen to run into any. And like I said, I thought I saw some manifest in your face, and perhaps it was nothing. But if you do come across something that seems odd, my firm's knowledge and capabilities might be able to help.
She leans in, she places a hand on your chest, and she says, quiet enough for the others not to hear, I saw something happen to your face as well, Golag. If you have questions of magic that you encounter, that you do not understand, you can find me. And she moves back. Dr. Ursprung, that's when you finish your conversation. You look over, and what is the expression on Golag's face as she moves away? And she says, Mother, I think I would care for tea. And she says, oh, wonderful, Vesta. We'll just see these gentlemen out. What's the expression on Golag's face?
I
think you've given it to us.
Yeah, I think you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Golag is, for
Questions.
once, speechless as Vesta leaves to head to the kitchen to work with the servants on tea. Mrs. King says, then, Doctor, thank you so much for visiting, and Mr. Golag, Vesta greatly appreciates your visits as well. Thank you for attending. We will let you know if we hear anything of that Harridan, Miss Fallow.
Very good, madam. Have a good day to you.
So, the two of you step outside, which gives you a moment of privacy to talk to one another.
Yeah, is there a possibility? I'd like to inquire with my familiar and find out from it what it experienced in the room, if anything.
Would you give us let's see here. I think give us a will save, please. Oh, everyone gets a hero point, by the way. You satisfied with that?
I mean, let's see. I'll try it again.
Okay. As a reminder, average and target number for your level is a 23.
Gotcha. Yeah.
your shadow is silent on this matter. There's nothing that it has to report. This is the first time you've actually tried to communicate with your familiar directly. How does it communicate with you? Apart from a badass Sam Wood illustration.
Assume empathically, like, it's not words as much as it is probably emoting, to like a question is more of a thought,
Okay.
rather than an explanation.
So then, you, what you're aware of is that there is, it's really not, there's nothing that it says that if you question whether it left you, it says it did not. If you question whether, because like when you send it out on your own, because you're able to see through its senses, that is not the case. It acts as if nothing has happened. And to be clear, remember, Golak does not know that he didn't have his tattoos at some point. Dr. Earthsprung does, but he hasn't had an opportunity to talk to you about it yet.
Yeah. Well, I'll say to Dr. Earthsprung, that was strange. She is more than ever. There's something going on with her. I don't know. It may be just a trick of my eyes, but her visage changed to a troubling aspect that I can't explain, and she refuses to, in a very cagey. I'm not sure if it's romantic or faux romantic way. What were your thoughts?
Well, she's always been concerning, but the way she talks, as if she's more powerful than Fallow. That's the way it sounded to me. Like she's taken on these arts, or these dark arts or magic in some way herself, and those paintings, they certainly seem to have some sort of connection with you. Why did your shadow leave your body like that when you was looking at them?
I don't know. It doesn't seem to.
So again, this is news to you, remember?
Yeah.
Because you would be feeling like, no, my shadow didn't leave my body. What are you talking about?
What makes you think that? What makes you think that's the case?
I saw. Well, your tattoos, they disappeared like I've seen before, and I'm not 100% sure, but there was something flittering between those paintings, almost like your shadow had sort of gone into the painting. Maybe. I think we will remove those paintings from our office when we get back. I don't like them. What's best the king is doing?
I think Golag's probably quiet. I mean, he's definitely. I mean, this is the most. I thought, the whole thing was disturbing, and he liked the paintings. He liked the paintings, but he's. I mean, this definitely sows a very poignant seed of suspicion about the whole thing.
That's what I was going to say. Does he resist in any way when I talk about removing the paintings? Is there any sort of no?
One thing I want to point out is that Golag may not be aware of the length of time that he had zoned out in front of that painting in that room.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he goes quiet, and I think like someone trying to deal with an internal matter that he's not quite doesn't have full understanding of, but then you point out, that he's, well, you have been to a bar 6 nights out of 7, and he's like, oh, wait, what? That kind of like.
So they are potentially a sinister connection to one evil that we have faced in a previous case, but it is pictures of me.
Right. With my shirt off, no less.
Yeah, I'm concerned that you've lost some time to these paintings. Many evenings you've been absent, and I think we found that you've stayed in your room, and there's definitely been occurrences where you seem lost in the gaze of those paintings, and even in that room just now, you seem to be staring at it for a number of minutes, and you don't even seem to be aware of it.
Minutes.
There's briefest second, Golag, where you hear once again teeming hordes chanting your name. The last time you heard that, you may recall, was when you had that very unfortunate connection with the white blossoms of Paridar. And it was your thought of that painting that brought you back. So for the briefest of moments, you feel that, and then it's gone. And if you try and focus your memory, anything beyond the sound, your mind cannot find purchase on it. It escapes you.
It's possible there's something unusual going on. It is possible. I don't understand it, which is annoying. She's an unusual woman, and she's strangely fixated on me, and I'm...
Have you got any means of using magic on the paintings to detect what they might do, or what's been cast on them, or some effect, or some hypnotic gaze that you seem to get stuck in?
Perhaps. I do feel like I don't want to be hasty about the pictures, but because she does show a certain amount of skill, but I think some investigating them might be in order. Maybe take them to someone else for an opinion.
And do you need this many paintings, Golag?
Well, now we know that these white blossoms can, spy on us. Perhaps these paintings are doing something similar. Perhaps they're listening and seeing, or...
Would you give us an occultism roll, Golag, please?
I can't assist with it, can I?
No, because this is more a matter of, like, he's the one who's had the connection with that, so...
Yep.
Golag, doesn't feel like that. Doesn't feel like it is something watching you. It feels like you are watching something.
But you can't remember anything. That's the problem. Whatever it is you're watching, you've got no recognition of doing it, or what you're seeing, or any memories.
It's not ordinary, I think now the simplest bar, the simplest approach is best, and that is that it's not ordinary. I'm coming to that thinking, and if that is the case, which I think it might be, then I think it deserves knowing more. And that's as far as, so perhaps taking it to someone, because it seems to be focused on me, and I'm not sure why. And so taking it to someone else seems prudent.
Who is the person we should inquire this?
I find myself thinking about the university, but because but Kevin, I don't have like a magical mentor, right? I don't have a...
No, your magical mentor is
my patron.
Unnatural connection you have with the shadow. Yeah.
I mean, have I ever taken anything have I ever inquired with my patron about something like this before? Like,
it's not the way that you would have your connection with your patron, like the witch's patron, is much more akin to, like, I don't know,
more mysterious, I assume.
Yeah, like it's more of a primal connection. Like the whatever you've gotten whatever you're drawing your power from, it's not even. Even the Church of the Heavenly Host speaks through riddles and whatever else. It's not like you sit down and have a conversation with your god. With the witch's connection, it's even more nebulous. It is a utterly inhuman thing that you have bargained with.
What about Professor Morris Watson Fowle? He was at the university.
Perhaps.
He deals with enchantment and things, doesn't he?
He deals with divination.
And even if he doesn't, even if he's not sure, maybe he give us a reference that he trusts within the university system, like we've done before. But I do think it's worth inquiring, and that's the key here, I believe.
Yep. We'll head back and see if I can wrestle that painting away from him.
I mean, even if you want to make a one possibility is have Dr. Ursprung make a roll to see how effective he is on. I mean, I'm good with it. Like Golag, does he convince him? Because I'm not sure if he convinces. Sean's not sure if he convinces Golag of taking the pictures down. It'd almost be better with the roll, I'm thinking. But I'm open. Whatever.
I do. It fits with the title of the session. If Golag is going to be gaslighting Dr. Ursprung, we should really take down those paintings. I agree. We should consider taking down those paintings.
yeah, right.
No, we should really take them off of the wall. That is definitely something we should consider taking them off the wall.
We're going to put that on the minutes of our next meeting.
Absolutely. I intend to make sure that I make a note to add a note to contemplate potentially removing the paintings or relocating them to elsewhere, perhaps elsewhere in my room.
Yeah.
So we're agreed on that. Perhaps I should just move the paintings to elsewhere in my room.
Sylvan, put that on the list again. Thank you.
So what are you thinking? Diplomacy?
I mean, something like that. Whether I resist or maybe I don't. I'm not. Maybe a little.
Well, if you're resisting, that would probably be your willpower plus 10. What's your willpower bonus?
My willpower bonus is.
Which I can hover over it and see. It is plus 11, so it'd be 21.
Yeah.
I don't want to say you're below average, Golag, but
susceptible.
Go ahead, Dr. Ursprung, if you want to give us a diplomacy check, DC 21.
Okay.
Ooh.
Woohoo.
So it is a begrudgingly persuasive argument, Golag. How do you take that?
Just the way that someone would that's struggling with something internal, that's trying to figure it out, but it's difficult because if it was a third party, it'd be a no-brainer. One of the classic examples of a third party, you're a genius, and if it's yourself, you're like, you can't quite get there.
How does Golag feel now, suddenly recognizing the hold that these paintings seem to have on him?
Disturbed, for sure, disturbing, but is not quite willing to go all the way with it. But his instinct, so he's falling back on an instinct is to know more, and so that's why he's settling on. You know what? The main thing here is to know more. Let's not jump to conclusions, but let's find out more, and which is a big deal. I mean, that's a big deal.
So I'm picturing this conversation happening in the seat of the clockwork carriage as well. As you guys are going along, and perhaps there's a moment when you convince him, Dr. Ursula, you're like, look, perhaps you should do that, right? This is not good to have them there. And he sort of seems quiet for a moment, and then there's whoa, geez, he almost cuts, hits a carriage because he's lost in reverie for a moment. He swerves around it, and then you're realizing that even without seeing the paintings, the thought of them perhaps is having a grip on you.
And Sally leans forward and says, look, Golag. It's not unusual for young men to like to stay in their rooms staring at pictures a lot. Pictures of themselves, less common, but do listen to Dr. Ursprung. He's thinking of the best for you.
So Golag and Dr. Ursprung, I think we're leaving you there, and we will turn to Basil. And I'm assuming Sally, being as stealthy as she is, maybe coming along with Basil on his. Yep. What was Basil doing again?
I think I wanted to find some dead drop or so to contact the Whisker network. The
only downside is, of course, that doesn't exist.
But I mean, I can try to contact the non-existing.
For sure,
network.
it sounds like it's something very helpful. What is it you're putting in the dead drop? What are you seeking? I guess Sally is your lookout for this.
Yeah. I mean, the idea was to find out who is actually. So while we believe that this disturbing person is a tulpa, we also believe that he was working for someone, and it's not. He was like it was like a bigger person or a bigger thing. So the idea was to get some more information on this, while maybe just only existing for a short time or short period. This man who's only there for 2 weeks, but who.
Well, so just to remember the way that the invocation of the tulpa worked is that he now has always existed.
Yes.
Right.
So the idea was, so I got the impression that he has people behind him, or maybe he has resources behind him, and we should probably know what we are getting into. That was something of the idea here.
Okay, to see if so you wish the Whisker Network to provide information about any contacts that Mr. Saxon may have, or
yeah. So something like who is he really working for? Is he in business for himself, or is he working for some other figure? He seemed like one of these, I don't know, like this mobster guy who runs a casino for someone else.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
All right. So you drop that off, and it will be likely some time. Where do you think the dead drop is?
I think at some street, and maybe it's rather busy, and then it's, I don't know, some I don't know. I would say something which is a little bit higher, maybe, where Basil has to just climb up to.
Sure, maybe there's a small park. Like at an intersection,
like
there's a park where people would be, so you're able to, quickly duck behind a bush, climber to a knot higher up in the tree, and leave your thing there.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, Sally, you're keeping a lookout to see if anyone is watching. That is dropped off, and you will have an answer later. Do you guys intend on returning back to the office afterwards, or was there something else that Basil and Sally wish to do today?
Yeah, Sally, so do you have any plans for the day?
Personally, no. I was focusing on the case and as necessary to support you. I have no particular agenda right now.
So, as far as I remember, did I follow? I followed him. This Dr. Ransom home, didn't I? So
you followed Dr. Ransom home, yeah, where you saw him at home with his family, the 2 kids and his wife. You also, Golag had a vision of something being hidden in his office. You also have not yet followed Mr. Saxon to wherever he might live. Assuming he just doesn't stand in an alleyway and glower overnight.
Yeah, so what about breaking in somewhere, Sally?
Just for the fun, or
yeah, so
some objective in mind?
Yeah, so either we could try to find whatever our Dr. Ransom has hidden, or we could try to find what actually this Saxon guy is up to, following him. But in any case, we have to expect that our new friends of the IOU might be on our tails.
And therefore, yes, breaking and entering and them knowing about it could be, of course, playing into their sneaky little hands.
Or we could tell them
that we don't. Or we could tell them.
Yeah, we could.
Tell the tailors.
Yeah, but I don't know to what good. But I mean, we could do it anyways, just to. I mean, showing off is part of the business, isn't it?
So ransom hiding things.
Yeah, Ransom is hiding things, and I'm pretty sure that maybe Saxon is hiding things as well. So, for instance, if he really killed someone with his cane, which seems pretty likely, then we might find evidence about that maybe at his home, but we don't know for sure.
Which of the two do you prefer?
So we don't. So in the last session, this Professor Galbari did tell Basil that it is unclear what the consequences are if we get rid of a tulpa. So we can't just make it disappear. It might lead to unforeseen effects because he wasn't even sure that something like a tulpa could exist, and it already changed reality. And now it's not like we can just snap our fingers and change it back. That only works in books with many pictures, I suppose.
Or a lot of rules.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe the thing we have to do is just trying to pin the murder, or not pin the murder on, but trying to get evidence that Saxon really committed the murder and get him arrested, and then he's out of the business again.
Very well.
So where
we
would you
could
be
try
heading
then
then?
sneaking in.
To Babwell's home or to Saxon's home?
I think we never been to Saxon's home. Do we know where he lives? Maybe.
You have not followed him yet, but that likely through your street connections, you may be able to get that information today. If you want to give us I think it is diplomacy to gather information, but you can use society, right, from one of your feats?
Yes.
So either of those.
Okay, so I'm using society because I'm rather a social being.
Mm-hmm.
And this is part of the ongoing investigation, so I get a +1, 26.
Yeah. Okay, so I think in the time it takes you to get the information to that, the Rathbone equivalent of the Baker Street Irregulars will report back to you. You will have an opportunity to return to the offices where you will meet up with Dr. Ursprung and Golag once again. And let me just bring this over.
By the way, do I see our friend Mr. Kane where he was before?
If you go back, yes, you would find... we'll make you roll for it again, but you will find he seems to still be working. I'm assuming what you've done is coordinated with Sovin to do, kind of a Home Alone-esque thing where they show, like, a smaller silhouette move past the window once or twice, so they still think that you are within there.
Yeah. Sally, do you want to have a chat with that guy, maybe?
No.
I think
I don't see getting much more than just chit chat with somebody on the other side. I'm just.
I think you might
where that leads.
Yeah, you might have similar mindsets, but I may be wrong here.
Yeah, let's just get on with our things.
Okay, good.
Okay, so guys, we're already at our mid-session break. Everyone gets a hero point who doesn't have already 3. We'll take our mid-session break. We'll come back and see what Ms. Dumer and Basil make of what Dr. Ursprung and Golag experience. So for those listening at home, we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Okay. So for those listening at home, hope you're having a great weekend. Hey, Matthew. I hope you're having a great Sunday. And Jeffrey, I hope you're having a great weekend as well. Awesome. All right. The timesheet is a flying for the session today.
As always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, truly. You know, it's funny, the after the last couple of 2D20 sessions that we've had with Star Trek Adventures, and we played modified version of Homeworld last weekend and Fallout, I think that the mistake I've made in past is when I'm trying to rush through a session with 2D20, if I just let it, you know, play out the way that we do in this game, I find it a much more useful tool for setting the pace of the play.
Yeah, the problem is when you've got those one shots or restricted sessions or 4 hours charity sessions and that.
Absolutely.
You're trying to get to that conclusion of some sort, ain't you?
Exactly. So you end up with your thumb on the scale a lot harder. What I've done the last two, we didn't have a single fight in that last the Star Trek session yesterday, and the Homeworld one we went in saying that this is expected to be like a road trip. It's a road trip session. You know that you're going somewhere, and to see something, that's the only structure to this. Otherwise, we're going to randomly generate stuff and make your decisions of what path you're taking and see what comes from it. And it was super fun session.
Do you still feel that you've got a good sort of feel for the system and you've tried the system still? Oh yeah, definitely, because like you're making decisions, you're spending momentum based on the others. The threat or the action points or whatever, I find in non-combat situations, it's a weird. In Fallout, it felt like it was a great balance. Like people were seeing, me make use of it regularly. The Star Trek Adventures one, it recommended that I start with 2 threat per character, but I think that the adventure that we ran as written has a lot more combat in it than what we had. And combat is where I need the GM's, currency, whatever it's called, in whatever the game. But we definitely had an opportunity. So there's the problem, the only thing that was sort of a failure on the system part was the amount of threat that I had as a GM on the Star Trek session. That was crazy. We were joking about it. I wasn't even keeping track at one point because I was continually getting more. But with rolling more dice, you always run the risk of a complication, and we did have a couple fun complications come up. So, So they don't have like a cap where it's like, well, no, you just can't do it anymore.
The GM side, no. If you're having more fights, if you're having more combat, that stuff gets used a lot faster.
Yeah.
And I think that if I was less concerned, like one of the reasons I didn't spend for complications in the session yesterday was because we needed to get to the end of a relatively full adventure. And if I was putting impediments in the way, it would have just fucked things up. I was able to get, but by contrast, the one fight we had in the Homeworld one, it was over in the span of about 15-20 minutes. Like, it was dangerous, but it was like up and done and whatnot. So it felt like it fit the need of what the story required, which was one interesting incident that happened along the course of a road trip to get somewhere. So
I remember that from Conan, running Conan, that the Doom got big, but then we had a big battle, and I went right through it. I had no problem spending that in a big combat.
Absolutely.
It seemed ridiculous until the combat began, and then it wasn't that big. Yeah.
Well, like at 6 per roll, and then there's also some fortune spends you can do with the Doom as well. Like, the biggest pool I've had in the game, I think, is about like between 50 and 60 in a Conan game, and we blew through it within the span of like 2 or 3 sessions, because there was a lot of heroes as well. So I didn't feel the interesting ability that one of the characters had in, I think it was your character actually, in Fallout, was the ability to increase the momentum cap for players. or the action point cap. That's neat, putting it up to 7
That's
instead
kind of cool.
of 6.
Yeah.
So in Dune, what I regularly did was, and that's not a written momentum spend, but it worked out quite fine, is just increase the threat range. So normally a complication is only a 20. And now you make things not harder, but more risky when you reduce the number to 19 or 18. And then it seems more like a game of risk or something.
And that's good. That's a good idea to link that to the GM action points or doom or threat or heat or whatever the fuck it is. I think that's because having a clearly articulable, this is what I've done to modify things, and even if it's just for the scene, right? I'm going to spend 4 momentum or 4 action points. The complication range is going down for this particular scene because things are going to get dicey,
Or even the roll, just a single roll. That's a fun tool to have to not affect. Additional tool to use in a particular situation.
I was saying to Darren before you guys got back that just like I think that when I run 2d20 like this, like we do in this game, where it's a lot of chatting and then there's light interaction with the rules, is when I enjoy it the most. I think it's been really the game really suits that kind of stuff. Although I will say the Fallout stuff, I really enjoyed the fights in Fallout too. I
think they nailed the combat with Fallout. It's in my opinion, it's the best 2d20 combat system. It's not too heavy and not too little. It's just the right amount.
Yep. It felt, in particular with the minion rules added in, with the waves of ghouls that were coming in, you guys, that was pretty cool to see you guys plowing through a lot of them.
Do you think it's particularly different than Octung Cthulhu? I know I've played Fallout just once. Do you think
it's fairly close for sure. It's pretty close, I think, to it. The only I think that there's less stress thresholds for some of the adversaries in Fallout because they are level based. So there's less. There's more of a clear focus on like when you're a starting off character, ghouls or like basic robots can be kind of a challenge, whereas like a Deathclaw will just wipe the fucking party. But if you get to, you're playing in the 12 or 14 range or whatnot, the characters are going to be able to handle the combat a little more. You don't see your stress go up as much or your health pool or whatever it's called in Acton Cthulhu, right? Like you remain whatever the level of challenge is. Your skills might get better and whatnot, but like the level of challenge remains the same. What do you think, Ingolf? I think you played both as well, right?
Yeah, I'm in my impression. So with Achtung Cthulhu, you still have more option in combat, and at first that sounds great. Yes, you have more options. It's more fun, but then again, if you have too many options, it just slows things down. And I remember the magic, especially is. Now you have to choose which kind of magic trick you do. In Fallout, there is no magic, and it seems simpler. Everything is just, in a way, more simplistic, and it's for this kind of game. It's more fun because
I love
basically you're happy when you find a can of Coke. So that's a major.
The rally mechanic also, the rally action is super fucking cool in that to just like nakedly generate momentum for an ally. That's a great mechanic. I think you use that actually, James. You use something similar for your for the party last time too.
Yeah,
in Star Trek,
3 action points. And
great way
Star
of
Trek.
just like offsetting some of the Doom creation.
I think Fallout's probably going to get more less simplistic as you go up because of the perks.
Yeah,
and I don't necessarily mean in a bad way, because you'll gradually get them, so you'll manage them. But
and we played without crafting. We never crafted anything, and that is, I'm told, is a pain in the ass because once you start crafting, it just boils down to bureaucracy. But,
I mean, that is what I intended for the game, right? Was just like tax return, the RPG. So,
but again, on that one, I think doing it on the VTT will help a lot.
100%. Yeah. I'd say the Shadowrun 6 game that we played is, I think, my favorite session of Shadowrun I've ever run. Obviously, part of that's great players for it. The other part is what an amazing character sheet they have for Shadowrun 6 in this. It's just, for a game that rolls a lot of different dice, and Shadowrun 6 is a streamlined version, but there's still shit going on that you need to be aware of, and it's nice. You can just focus on like the high-level rules and trust that the sheet is going to catch all those little math mistakes that you might make. It's just incredible. We had people playing in that session who had never played Shadowrun before, and they were playing like champs in no time. Plus, Jeff's character was running around trying to get the drone to shoot him so that someone else can spot it. Oh my goodness. All right, so then back here, all of our illuminators are back during the day. So Sally and Basil have set out their, I've done the dead drop. Basil has set out the, I guess, I don't know, the Butcher Street irregulars to head out for his information. And Dr. Ursprung and Golag have arrived back from their meeting with the Kings. Now, so let's start off with Ms. Dumer and Basil. Would you kindly give us a perception check, please?
Oh, yes.
I'm shaking things up. We're coming back from our break with a perception check.
Surprisingly good for me.
That's right, yeah.
I don't know. Well, what have I done? Oh, no, I couldn't find my character sheet because I closed the characters tab.
Oh, okay.
So I was... So, it's...
Nat 1, baby. You want to hero point that?
Yeah. I mean, it would be even more fun not to, but I think I would do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not much.
So not great. So you're not going to pick up on this, but I mean, your mind is probably, you're furiously putting red string up on your board. But Sally, when Golag and Dr. Ursprung return, because they return after you guys have run your errands, Golag, would you tell us what expression, unlike Golag, is on his face that she notices?
That Sally notices?
Yeah, like I picture what I was getting them to roll for, see whether they could tell that you were off your game, as it were, when you return from this.
Yeah, introspective, I think, is the would be the key word. A little quiet. He's usually a little chatty.
Sobin takes the jacket without having to be ordered to do so, takes your scarf, your goggles, your driving gloves.
He enjoys, Golag likes the, he enjoys the banter, or even just the talk of courtesy. Like, you've arrived, and I hope you've had a good day, and, using people's surnames and, titles, and just kind of, thank you, so kind, and this kind of, And so he's just, he's sort of quiet, and I think he's, depending on how much they focus on it, they might or might not notice that he's looking upstairs. Like he's got kind of a distraction to upstairs, but it's not. It does really obvious. I mean, it depends if they may or may not notice.
Yeah, no. I mean, she rolled quite well, so it's not like he, it was, if knowing him the way that you all do, and the reflecting the quite good roll. So Sally, you see all of that.
I would think that Golag being introspective and quiet should be spotted by an 18 as well.
So, all of you have returned back. Sally, you have noticed that something is off about your employer. What happens next, guys?
I think I'm going to take the opportunity to, while Golag's doing his usual pleasantries, go upstairs and grab...
Well, that's the point. He's
painting.
not, actually, it sounds like.
Oh, he's just doing his quiet thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I think I go to my study. I mean, I'll be in my study. I'm actually... I mean, I think part of his quietness is going to his study, and he's probably doing something at his desk, like, like with books and not non-personal.
Sure.
Dusting of the picture of himself.
I don't know if there's... I mean, we haven't gone into great detail other than the fact that there's like one in his bedroom. I don't think it's down here. I think it's upstairs. I think the pictures are in his personal space, not in his office space.
It could very well be. Does he have a photograph of his father? Or not a photograph, but like an image or a painting or whatnot of his father in here? Or does he keep that?
I think he has. I think he might have one on his desk.
Okay.
You know, there's a little bit of push me, pull me about the father, as you know, that whole thing. But yeah, a picture. You know, like his favorite picture.
And perhaps something from when you were younger as well.
Yeah.
So you're looking at this photograph of yourself and your father and your utterly blemish-free face as well, because this is before you sought out your own power.
Mm-hmm. And I think you know, he might be kind of retrospectively looking at that. You know, like a little bit has some. He like positions some reading material in front of him. He puts. He's got some surroundings of comfort. This is his comfort food. He you know, got his book, and he's like cleaning his spectacles, and he looks at the picture of his father for a minute, and you know, this kind of thing. So
if you're brought out of your reverie, you might smell that Sovin is preparing tea, and it sounds like retrieving biscuits for you. So he seems to know what you may need. What are Basil and Sally doing in this in the study as well? Basil seems busy at his conspiracy board. Yeah. Sally, so it sounds like Dr. Erskine was going to have.
If it is true, yeah.
Absolutely.
So what's up with Golag then, Dr. Erskine? He's gone all quiet and gloomy.
Well, I probably won't talk to anyone. I'm just going to march straight upstairs to get that painting off the wall.
Okay, so it seems as if the doctor is quiet as well.
Yeah.
They're a right huffy bunch, these land people.
So if you make your way into the room, you will see that thing there, and there is, again, this is the, you know, Golag by way of Frank Frazetta, picture of him atop a ziggurat, a bunch of cloying, you know, followers around him. What do you do, Dr. Ersprung?
I probably didn't look at it that closely, but do I think anything's changed on it? Has the picture changed in any way? Anything been added or taken away, or the scene changed in any way?
Would you give us a...
Because I saw that movement in those paintings of Miss King's. But...
Yeah, no, so that's worth looking at the... would you give us a crafting check, please? So you hadn't thought about it, and you're not you were certainly not an artist yourself, or at least not that I'm aware of. But there's something that occurs to you in here now that you're thinking of the shadows. The lighting in this makes absolutely no sense. The way that the light falls on Golag, and the way the skies are and whatnot, it just it's not jarring in the way that like a poorly executed piece might be, where even like the natural eye just sees like, okay, this just doesn't look right. But there is something about this piece where the shadows do not fall right, and the lighting is not correct in it.
Well, with that, I shall take it off the wall and take it down to where Basil and Sally are, I think.
For a briefest of moments, as you go up and grab this thing, when you are quite close to it, you can feel something. And then it is pulled off and placed on the ground. Did you say you're bringing it downstairs?
Yeah, I want to take it down to explain to Basil and Sally that we've agreed to have it looked at.
So, Sally, perhaps you've gone into the...
Should we take this to the university?
Well, he's not down yet with you yet. So he's come down now with the painting. And remember, you and Basil do not have context for this yet. Mm-hmm. So, with you walking into the room with the painting, Basil and Sally, you turn around and it seems as if Dr. Ersprung has decided some remodeling is in order. What happens next?
Basil had Sylvan looking out for Golag because he was looking at the painting during complete nights, as far as we know. So, Adam, have you talked about this with Golag?
We have had a brief discussion about it after our visit to Miss King. She's done some more paintings, and I witnessed Golag staring hypnotically at the painting, and it even looked like his shadow left him briefly and maybe even entered the picture, but he's got no recognition of this at all, and he's agreed for me to take it to the university and see if we can find someone who can maybe have a look at it.
And honestly, I think that Basil would not believe that. Really? Golek agreed that you could take it down?
He did, but I'm convinced he might change his mind, which is why I'm intent to get on with it.
Okay, I'm with you completely.
Who do you think we should speak to?
I think Professor Galbary should be maybe, or I don't know, but at least he could, or Professor Watson-Fole, he could tell you whom to contact.
Okay.
But I think you should go really fast, and I would be here, try to distract Golag if he comes back and is looking for it. Because to me, he was kind of addicted to this picture.
Golag likely can overhear all of this conversation.
Because he's in this...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But actually, I don't think I would... If I was so distracted that I probably did not realize he can...
Yeah, and he's also so quiet, and unlike him, normally you know when Golag is in a room.
Yeah.
So I shall find some sort of cloth covering, whatever, to just put over the painting as we transport it.
Sovin likely has paper wrapping in order to properly transport it, so paper and twine.
And I think maybe there's voices are lowered slightly or something, and I think you guys look up at some point to see Golag standing in the doorway of the study, and he doesn't say anything, and he just turns around and goes back in.
Impressed.
Yeah, I'll finish wrapping it.
Cold turkey with the paintings.
Yeah. I think, Adam, you should take Sally with you, and be. I mean, maybe Sylvan and I can distract our new friends a little bit.
Outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm no expert in these things, so you tell me. How to get out of here if you think we need to do this on.
Yeah, actually, I have this convenient feed that I can distract people really easily.
I know Sally's quite good at helping people with stealth.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, right. Sally's got her.
But that just means that we only roll once with the worst person, right?
Yeah, but they get to use your. They get to act as if they're trained in it, which I don't think Dr. Sprung is.
Ah, right. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought I had this feat where I could, but I think I didn't take this. I'm sorry. No. Lengthy diversion, yes. I can create a diversion and that continues. But yeah, whatever. So yeah, I think I would just maybe I would just try to go and be very try to make it look as if I wanted to sneak out, but then don't sneak out. So that I can be seen, like it's as if I wanted to be stealthy, but then something happened and I failed.
Okay, so you, it's a Vesta, Vesta, not Vista.
Gotcha.
Although it seems Golag will be wanting to longingly gaze at her, Vesta, not a Vesta.
Yeah, it's probably on purpose, not purpose.
Exactly, a little bit of a whatever the Paridar
Freudian
equivalent
slip.
of a Freudian slip is.
Right.
Then, why don't we have Basil? So you are going to try and assist, and then Sally is going to try and lead here. So Basil, why don't you give us a what are you thinking? Stealth check to distract?
I think that maybe a deception.
Oh,
because
deception.
I
Yep.
try to
Yep, I buy
try
that.
to trick them in a way.
Okay, so that's
That's
plus
at least
one.
+1. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Ms. Dumer is going to be leading, so that means Dr. Ursprung. You'll get to add your, what is it? Is your level? I'm trying to remember how the training gives plus, what is it? +2 plus your level or something? It's been so
Yeah,
long
that's
since
just
I've had to
it. This
calculate
is-
that.
This is the
Yeah,
skill.
training's got 9 next to it on the stats, so I guess that is right. On the character sheet it says T9.
Yeah, because it's not the
as a
feat that
modifier.
grants you that; it's the follow the expert exploration mode action
Okay.
that grants that. So, hold up, I'll tell you what that is. Follow the expert. They gave a circumstance bonus to your skill check based on your allies. So you can add your level as a proficiency bonus to the associated skill check, even if you're untrained. And then, are you an expert in stealth, Sally?
Yes.
Then you also get +2 on top of that. So we +9 as a modifier to your stealth check there, Dr. Ursprung, whenever you're ready.
It gives me half a chance.
Nat 20, baby! Look at that! Holy smokes!
So
All
Sally's
right.
there and Dr. Ursprung's gone. She's puzzled.
Exactly. Shoo. He's Batman. What is our segue into playing the Batman RPG now? What? Where is it that Dr. Ursprung? I think we see outside a intensely watching Catman who is looking down on you all. Basil appears gives the appearance that he's trying to get ready and head out somewhere. So he is closely watching that, which allows Dr. Ursprung and Sally to slip out through the garden at the back, through the back alleyway, and off, seemingly shaking whoever was watching the back door as well. Golag is focused on... So one thing if you could maybe remind me in the Discord, Sean, I need to update your rituals in your Book of Shadows because you have more rituals now that you're level 7 that you'll be able to access. And if you could remind me of or post this between now and 4 weeks from now, but at some point during the break, if you could post what you want in your grimoire, your summoning grimoire.
Okay.
I'll add all those things in too to save us time for next time, because I'm going to be working on this campaign on the holiday as well. Then you guys managed to slip out, and I will tell you, Basil, before I forget, that the Butcher Street Irregulars will bring you back an address for Mr. Saxon.
Optimum, yeah.
And Dr. Ursprung and Sally Dumer, you are heading to the College of Magic at the Paridar University. Is that right?
Painting underarm.
Painting underarm, yeah, it's incredible that you're able to slip away with that. What, who is it you're going to go see? The two contacts you have thus far are Professor Raleigh Galberry and Professor Morris Watson-Fool.
I think Morris I think maybe...
Let's start there.
Yeah, I think Morris Watson-Fowl this time.
Okay. So once again, we find ourselves on the... I got to get a illustration for the campus then. So I don't think I've got one that we make use of regularly. Yeah, so we'll leave it here for now. Oh, you know what? Why don't we use this? fancy schmancy neighborhood.
Ooh.
And we move this down. And remove the tokens. Boom. And put them on back down. I have the campus in mind of having some greenery and whatnot around it too, but I also picture it being like Oxford, where it's like an entire city that swallows it up, and then you access the campus separately. Trinity is like that actually as well in Dublin. So with you guys making your way across campus, you're seeing students going about doing whatever it is that students do during the day, and you make your way into the College of Divination. Or the School of Divination in the College of Magic. As an aside, one thing I realized too, one of the downsides, we are having to, it's good that we're making use of this, the remixed or remastered Pathfinder 2, because there are no schools of magic the way we've been describing them in Spires of Paridar in the remastered version of Pathfinder 2. They don't have conjuration, divination, enchantment, whatnot, the classic D&D schools any longer. Because I was looking through the player's book for that, they've changed it to being like 4 essences instead. Not bad, but just something of note. All right, and where is he here? Professor Watson 4, here we go.
I mean, it's like at Terry Pratchett's Unseen University has all these great department names.
Yeah. All right. So you go in and you meet with Professor Watson Fool is not the head of the divination department, but he is. When he sees that you guys, pass by his office, he looks up. Sally.
Dear Professor.
And he gets up from his desk and puts aside whatever it was he was working on. He comes over, shakes your hand, gives you a hug. So good to see you, Doctor. I haven't seen you since the fundraiser. Come in.
Yes.
Come in. What, last I heard from your office was, Golag was asking about, someone, was it Golag or was it Basil? Basil was the last one who came by, I think. Basil,
yeah, but I wasn't visiting him, I suppose.
No, last you were on campus, you visited him, but in a previous mystery, I think before you guys had left for Dag on the Sea, you met with him about something else.
Yeah, I think actually we might have even talked about Golag, but I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So he says, "Please come in." Do you bring in gifts here? And he looks around at his cluttered office, which is classic, university professor thing where there's just shit everywhere. He says, I'm afraid I'm not certain I have the room here. Come in. And he closes the door. Can I offer you a drink, or is it too early? Too late?
I think we'll get straight to the point if you don't mind.
Not at all. Is this... this doesn't happen to have anything to do with Archie, does it?
Not that I'm aware of. No, this is our good friend Golag. We've come to speak to you about.
I spoke to Basil about Golag not long ago. Sally, have you heard from Archie, or has Annabelle?
Oh, no news.
When he's on mission, as it were, he is often missing for a time, but he has been... I'm sure it's nothing. But
You're concerned that he is...
It is a considerable length of time he has been away. I know that things have been... It seems like the Order of St. Sylvester has been quite busy as of late, and there have been some things that that he would not even share with a lifelong friend. He's been gone longer than I am comfortable with. I'm certain there's nothing to it, but if you have not heard, perhaps if you might I've been busy myself, so I have not followed up with Annabelle. If you could ask Annie if she...
I will indeed. I'd be delighted.
Greatly appreciated. Thank you, Sally. But please, what can I assist you with?
I'm not sure this is your field of expertise, but I'm concerned that Golag is he's been affected by these paintings. I don't know if Basil mentioned anything when he last visited, and I'd have already started unwrapping it.
Yeah. By paintings. So out of character, I'm trying to remember, did you talk to him about the paintings? I don't think so, Basil.
I think we were first of all we were concerned about this Brimmerrock thing.
Yeah.
Wasn't that? And then there was I remember that this Father Ezekiah was actually like trying to exercise Golag, but that's a different thing. No,
Yeah.
Maybe I just mentioned something, but not directly, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what, because there was someone else that you were asking him for a contact with, another school of magic, but to be honest, I don't remember what that was offhand.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like this was a year ago, and I think in real time it was.
Yeah. So it could very well be, I mean, to be honest, in fiction, he may have forgotten what you guys talked about as well, because it's been, busy and whatnot. But so he says, no, we did not, at least I do not recall discussing the paintings. What, you're concerned about this?
Yes, we went and visited the artist in question, a troubled young girl by the name of Vesta King.
Oh, of course it's him. I've seen... She's become quite popular in some circles with her paintings. And, of course, it's... How did I not see it? And then as you're sort of finishing unwrapping him, he says, well, of course, it looks very much like him, just very much unlike him as well. The bare-chested, loin-clothed, muscles rippling, covered in tattoos version that you see in the painting is not what you first think of when you think of, the suit-wearing, tailored Golag.
Indeed, it rather puts me off my lunch too, Professor.
This is more Kev describing it than it is Professor Watson Full. Professor Watson Full would recognize, of course it's him. How did I not see it before? Do you know why she's painting him as such? They're quite eye-catching, no. I agree, and very fanciful, but...
She seems to rather have a crush on...
Yeah, she does seem
on the man.
obsessed.
I would certainly say that he is her muse for that. But this one is quite... Even for the paintings I have seen, this is quite a specimen. Has Golag sent you here?
He was somewhat resistant for me bringing it here, but he's got this unnatural attraction to it, and he seems to lose time when looking at it. I'm convinced there's something a lot more going on with it, and that girl is very troubled.
Indeed.
Some sort of enchantment maybe on this, or curse, or I don't know. I'm concerned there's magic
steps
involved.
Forward and says, may I?
Please do.
He makes a gesture and says a couple of arcane words. There's a brief tracing of bluish energy, almost leaving like in your eye, the way that there can be tracers, and then and his eyes study this, and you can see there's a blue, like a single blue pinprick in his eyes as he's studying over. There is a faint magical aura to this, but I feel like there may be something more to this than at a glance. there may be some spell concealing something in here. The simple invocation I've used, and he, waves his hand across his eyes and those blue motes disappear. It would just simply detect the presence or absence of such magics. If there are magics concealing the enchantments, this simple spell would not uncover it. Huh. You think that this has some malign effect on Golag?
I've witnessed it myself. When she showed him a new piece that she'd painted, he seemed to stare at it, and after speaking to him after the event, had no recognition of that time he was looking at it, and his shadow was almost drawn into the painting, it looked like. I can't prove that or...
Shadow. Why do I know the name Vesta King?
She was caught up with that Fallow, Gwendolyn Fallow.
His face gets darker. Yes. She was the one who was taken into care, wasn't she?
Indeed.
And now she's been painting these of... I understand your concern then. You say that these have some bewitching effect on Golag.
Yeah, my knowledge of these areas is very sketchy, but yeah, it's having some control or some effect on him, definitely. And he was very resistant to taking it away from him.
Yeah. Are there any more such paintings with him?
He hasn't actually he's only got the one at the office, hasn't he?
Yeah, but you saw at least
more.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, she's painted more. Well, at least one more.
Oh, indeed, I've seen some of these. No, I did not recognize it as Golag.
But only one has been gifted to Golag, and this I've taken from our office, or from Golag's bedroom.
I've seen these paint at least some of her works myself, and I did not feel any connection or draw to them myself. Neither of the others I have seen, nor this particular work. Have you felt a similar pull to these things, notwithstanding your any potential nausea, Ms. Dubert?
I felt a bit of an unease when I took it from the wall, but nothing more than that. And I thought that may have been just me thinking of Miss King in association with it. She does trouble me.
I think, and I'm sorry, Sally? Did you feel any
No.
untoward
Not
or...
at all.
Then would you be comfortable leaving this with me?
Yes, indeed. I think it's better here than...
Well, I think the first thing
Golag.
would be to contain this in a warding circle out of an abundance of caution. And then I think perhaps consultation with trusted colleagues from the College of Illusion and perhaps the College of Enchantment as well. Do I have your consent to do such consultations?
I am very interested. Yeah, I am very interested to find out what this could be doing and what effect it could be having on Golag. I am greatly concerned, so any help would be greatly appreciated.
This is in relation to your concern for Golag, not in relation to an ongoing case. I will not be...
Well, I think it's also potentially connected. There is talk of this fallow woman returning. Her name has cropped up in a recent case we're investigating.
Does Professor Galberry know? I know it would be most upsetting for him to learn that she has cropped up again.
Yes, my colleague Basil has spoken to him, and
Good.
yes, as you expected, he is concerned.
I'll check in on Raleigh perhaps today. he had high hopes for Gwendolyn, as did many of us. And I know that whatever has happened to her, it continues to be a source of anguish for him. Then it may take a few days for me to meet with the necessary individuals, but you can trust that we will send word once I have some further answers for you. And Sally, if you do hear from Archie, could you let me know?
Of course I shall.
Thank you. Are you certain you cannot stay for a drink? It is only work today.
I'm not sure what else we need to be investigating this.
Well, maybe we can tarry longer once your colleagues have had their inspections and we have.
He snaps his fingers and points at Sally. And he says, "You see, Annabelle's influence. Come, let's talk of happier things, and we will deal with the painting in due course." Sits down, pours drinks for you guys, and you have an opportunity to chit chat about what you guys have been up to and what he has been up to. Anything else you wish to discuss with Professor Watsonful before?
I don't think so.
Then, Basil and Golag. So, Basil, you get word back. Golag seems to have thrown himself into the library.
I think when they left at some point, he goes back to the doorway of the study and listens and in the same kind of introspective way and calls out to Sylvan, "Did they leave?"
They did, sir. Was there something you required?
No. And then he goes back to his book.
So it's about maybe an hour after they have left that Sylvan comes into the library. "Sir, tea time."
Excellent. I could use some tea. Just put it here.
He steps aside and he gestures. "It's in the garden, sir."
Oh. I see. Well, if it's already out there, is it?
Indeed, sir. Fresh biscuits as well.
Oh.
From McCubbins.
Ah. Well, very well. He looks back at there's some big tome in front of him, of some archaic darkness that he takes comfort in, strangely.
Yeah.
And, okay. And then he marches off to the garden.
And I expect you probably find Basil, Sylvan would likely have told you of his plan to get for Golag to, as it were, touch some grass.
Yeah, to snap out of it. Yeah. I see.
So as you step out, you see Basil is there already, pillaging the box of biscuits from McCubbins.
"Did you leave any for me?" And sits down with a fake humph.
Some. Be quick, and I hand him over the box.
Oh, you did save me some. I know. Put
Both
some in.
lovely selection of sweet and savories.
Spread some jam and whatnot. Busy myself.
And I think by now, Basil, you probably have got word back from the Butcher Street Irregulars.
Yeah.
But you have not shared it yet with Golag has been holed up in his library.
Good. How about breaking into this Mr. Saxon's house and getting some information about him?
He's perfectly timed it as you bite down into the first of the pasties.
I think Golag ignores him. He just he's lost in thought, but not because he's being sassy as he likes to be. He's just lost in thought.
Golag, hello.
Yes. Oh, did I take them? And I put the box back in front of you.
No, I was just inquiring whether you wanted to come with me and we would investigate the premises of Mr. Saxon.
Oh, did you? Oh, a break-in or some not? Yes, that sounds fine. that sounds fine. And he takes another bite of
Yeah, I was
glopped-
thinking that
glopped
you would
biscuit.
you would come with me, and we do that together.
Oh. Okay. When would you like to? At night, I assume.
Yeah, when
not
it's
as-
dark.
Not as sneaky as you, Basil.
You are perfectly. You blend in perfectly into the night. I'm sure of that.
So I can't ruin another pair of trousers, and brushes some crumb off his trousers. And yeah, just you and me, is it?
Yeah, unless the other two are coming back in time. But I guess Golek, remember you were right about the tulpa. So
Was I?
yes.
What did I say?
You said it was a tulpa.
Oh, I see.
And I said
You
it
mean just
can't
the fact
be.
that it's tulpa. Yes, of course. Thought you meant something specific. Yes. What do you think we'll find at the Saxons' residence?
I'm not sure. I mean, in my I'm right now. I have two different approaches to the problem. We could try to somehow unravel this conjuration of the tulpa and somehow get it to not exist and never have existed, or we could try to accept that it is here and try to get it arrested for the murder it committed.
Interesting.
At least it would never be of harm to have some evidence that he killed someone, so he couldn't be a problem anymore in our future investigation.
Indeed. That would be helpful.
Yeah. The other thing is we also have you found out that Dr. Ransom was hiding something in his office. I mean, we could try to find that.
True. Perhaps there's something else in that drawer that would be helpful to our investigation. We don't have anything directly suggesting that, but it's a path that we could go down, to be sure.
Yeah. And then
What do you think of that? He interrupts you and he says, "What do you think of that painting I had upstairs?"
Each time I tried to talk with you about it, you never acknowledged that there was anything going on with it.
Oh, did we discuss it?
Only 5 to 10 times or something like that.
I see. That's interesting. She was a young lady was as peculiar as ever this morning.
Yeah, so Adam somehow told that she might have a connection to the shadow as well.
I don't know what it is. I'd like to know. I don't think. It seems unlikely that her behavior, there's something about the pictures. It's not natural, I don't think, but I can't put my finger on it.
Remember that as far as I understood what the game of Vestar and her of the other wizard were, they wanted to have some kind of entry of some kind of shadow realm creatures into Paridar. And maybe those things found another way to enter our realm, not directly, but through a painting or something like that.
I can't determine whether she's simply a tool or whether she knows what's happening.
I mean, so Golak never says that she told you that she was beyond what this Gwendolyn Fellow did. So if you, I mean, she basically said that her abilities were greater in some respect.
I mean, I don't know if Adam, Dr. Ursprung might have.
No, I mean, he didn't tell us. No. So I don't. So Basil doesn't know. He can't. Yeah,
right.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because she seems to know more than she lets on, but she's so cagey about it, and frames it in some sort of ridiculous romanticism, obsessive romanticism that it's an extreme nature.
So, I mean, is she really attracted to you? Not to get the wrong impression, but maybe she's attracted to your shadow.
Maybe. Yeah, again, I can't put my finger on it. I think many things are possible. Whether it's an act, it's a pretty good act if it's an act, but maybe. But there's something unnatural about it. I think I'm coming around to that point of view. I can't determine what it is. Dr. Ursprung said that my shadow disappeared off my face for a brief period of time while I was looking, he says, for minutes at this painting. I don't recall it that way, which disturbs me. And I subsequently inquired with my shadow, and it says it doesn't know what I'm talking about. All quite disturbing. Puzzling.
This is poor speculation, yes, and I don't know anything about how you got your powers, but it seems to me like if you're into this kind of deal with the patron, sometimes you have to leave a part of yourself there, maybe. Give them a part of yourself in exchange for the powers you get. So maybe a part of you is part of those shadows, or some, I mean, I don't know what kind of creatures exists out there, but it might be that they are attracted to your connection. Like I'm right now, I have this thing in my mind where we heard about all these kind of close nearby realms that somehow find their way into Paridar right now, and maybe that is a case of this as well. The barriers between different realms seem to be loosening or waxing or whatever you call that.
Perhaps. I'm even actually referencing, not that it has anything, one has anything to do with the other, but so Ingolf, did you shared about your dream? Was it in a dream that you were approached directly by the hag?
Yeah, I was approached by the hag in a dream, but actually I gave you the amulet she gave me, the ring. I'm sorry. So it was a ring, and you looked at it. You tried to use your
That's right.
Thing. So yes, yeah.
So I may not have anything to do with one or the other. In fact, it probably doesn't. But I'm even reminded that an individual with certain magical power inquired with you to ally or to work with each other in some way, and I wonder if something like that happened with her. And she said yes.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking as well, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I think she made some kind of a pact, and maybe she did not even make some kind of a pact, because when we found her, she was in this in this special state, so maybe it was not like so much her decision, but more some kind of the illness that she had, which had her
possibly
this pass.
even deception to some level, that she fell in lot with someone she should not have. But it has become more and more disturbing, I will grant you. I guess they took the painting away, did they?
Yes. But so this Vesta King was the only one who could resist the first try by Thorngrove and Fellow. So the other young ladies in her group, all of their minds were more or less overtaken by whatever possessed them.
Interesting,
but
yes.
Vesta King seemed to be the only one who resisted. So maybe she had some kind of innate magical ability or talent which allowed her to resist. I don't know.
Or even
you are the expert about these things.
Or even help, which is maybe less likely, but help even then to resist it, if she had an agreement even then, as another theory.
Yeah.
Well, in any case, I guess they took the painting to
the university, yes.
For analysis, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I don't know.
Yeah. Go like, I mean, I'm not trying to, but you are aware that we tried to talk to you about those paintings? And that Sylvan and I recognize that you spent hours watching at them? Or watching at your painting?
I assumed you were envious to some level of such a fine painting, and I was the focus of so many of her ministrations, and
yeah.
And the turn of her brush can be kind, so.
Yeah, obviously, and I must agree that you're a very, what would you say, this typical Jane Austen-like understatement, like a very
calmly,
calmly fellow or something like I mean, you would be kind of a good match in some way, because I mean your father's rather rich, I suppose. So
the one that won't speak to me, you mean?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that, but I mean, you must be a very illegible bachelor or something like that. Wouldn't that be the kind of terminology there? Yeah, so I wonder why there aren't more ladies knocking at your door.
Well, I'm a bit imposing, it's intimidating, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If only I thought hers was natural, as at one time I thought it was flattering, and now significantly less so. There's something not natural about it. Can't quite figure it out.
But then again, I mean, if she has a connection to her shadow and you have a connection to your shadow, that might be something to build on.
He gives you some side eye, trying to figure out if you're serious.
He is chewing a puff pastry very suspiciously.
Yeah, there's way too much glop on this biscuit, he determines, and takes them off, and
yeah. But
we'll see. We'll see what's become. I am disconcerted, but as I told Dr. Ursprung, I think the key is to determine that it is not altogether natural, and therefore more information is required. And I'm sure taking the painting to the university is a good step, because I hesitate to spend too much time on an investigation we're not being necessarily paid for if it has nothing to do with anything we're looking into currently. But I'm hopeful that investigation into the painting will inform us further of what might need to be done going forward.
So, but I understand that there's a problem, but right now I'm also concerned about your father, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. A new concern, rather than all the old ones that we have.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but so he established this new kind of detective agency. And it's like you are falling out of his grace, and I don't understand why.
No, agreed. No, we were in desperate need of a conversation between the two of us, to be sure.
Yeah, but what did we do to step on his toes, so to speak?
And Kevin, we're not aware, right? We don't have any. There's no obvious thing that Sean and Ingolf are missing.
No, you can't. You don't know what you've done to.
Yeah.
There doesn't appear to be a direct connection between what has happened. It just seems at some point during this summer, you guys weren't even aware of IOU until that investigation involving now Feshny and the stockyard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it's in that direction. There needs to be. There's some other reason, and we just don't know it. We don't know what the angle is.
Do we see any of the white blossoms around us?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're in the garden, aren't we?
You are. The pruning that Igor did the day before, while the branch has not grown back, there are fresh blossoms around where it was.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder what's going on in this city. Yeah, it is as if someone is just ruling it and plotting and scheming without us being aware of it.
Yeah, that I'd believe that. So what's on your agenda, Basil, this afternoon?
Nothing. We wait until it's dark and then we go to find Mr. Saxon, or we go now in hope that he's still in the factory. Or in this thing. What do you want to do?
When you visited his office, he was still there late.
Yes.
And that was last night? 2 nights ago? Last night. I mean, that would seem to be the sweet spot. Maybe we try that. Maybe just after nightfall to try to catch him at the office, and yet light has fallen.
You catch him at the office? What?
I'm meaning he'll still be at the office.
Oh, yeah,
And we will try his home after light has fallen.
Yes. Yeah.
It seems to be a reasonable approach.
Okay.
Then I think I take another biscuit and try it.
Okay. So then it is, after you guys have completed your tea and your time outside, it's shortly thereafter that Dr. Ursprung and Ms. Dumer will return. If you guys wish to have a meeting once again to share what you've learned.
Yeah. And I on purpose, it will be not in the garden.
Okay, back in the study once again.
Yes.
So, can Goldag resist asking about the painting?
I think it's. I think he's looking at them expectantly.
Okay.
But doesn't bring it up.
Okay.
But he's so. How is everyone?
Well, we need to continue our investigations, do we not? What is our next step?
We do.
And you seem a little preoccupied still, Golak.
Oh, am I? Yes, the our task this morning was disconcerting with the young artist.
She has a shine. Taken a shine to you, I do feel.
I suppose. There's something.
I feel that
off.
she's. I think she's dabbling in some sort of witchcraft of some sort. That's my feeling.
I wouldn't argue with you. I wish I had a better understanding of it. I can't quite grasp what's going on there, but I think what's important is I don't think it's natural.
Wow. When I mentioned that fallow, Gwendolyn Fallow, she didn't seem very concerned. She seemed to, well, I think her words were, "I am beyond her." As if,
Oh, yes.
as if maybe she's more powerful. That's how it came across to me.
Strange comment. And she stood by it, too. She defended it, even when her mother questioned her. Or at least didn't catch herself, didn't change her mind, didn't reword it, but leaned into it, I would say.
For someone who was so badly affected by that fallow before, she didn't seem concerned of her maybe being back on the scene or making an appearance once again.
I mean, so Adam, when she said that, maybe she meant that while Gwendolyn Fallow is a powerful magician, she has to use magic she has to cast spells to get into this other realm and to have this connection. While, as far as I understood what you are telling, that this Vesta King never used any spells in the classical sense. So she was not making a spell. Maybe it's some kind of elaborate ritual in the paintings, but I don't know. But maybe she has a more direct connection to the shadow, like Golak has.
I don't know. This is all outside my field of expertise, but she is a very troubling person to speak to. She's got an air about her that's not good.
I mean, I just don't, I mean, I would never say that aloud, but somehow, I mean, guys, our boss at the detective agency is someone who does necromancy and has a shadow and is doing some kind of weird magic. So, I mean, it's not like Wester King is so much more creepy in my book, but I don't know.
Crazies attack crazies.
But you can have a conversation with Golag, which is more than could be said for her.
Yeah.
So what did you do with the painting? He says with exasperation.
It's being looked at, Golag.
I see.
We'll have word soon.
Top men.
The best
best
at
men
the
are on it.
university are looking at it, but they are convinced there is something unnatural about it.
Oh, are they?
As we expected.
I see.
Once they've taken it apart, they should get to the bottom of it.
Oh, they hung on to it, did they? I see. Take it apart.
Didn't he say that there was some kind of cloaking spell on it?
They need to investigate it further because it wasn't immediately obvious what was going on. It looked like it was quite involved, potentially.
Huh. That's interesting. Well,
How does Golag feel knowing that there was something that Professor Watson felt was unnatural about the painting?
well, if he needs my help in studying it, he'll tell me, I'm sure, right?
They've got the very best people looking at it.
Top
So
men.
Very, very well. Very well.
Sure, you won't be required. We can continue with our investigation.
That's quite the put down there, Dr. Earthsprung.
No, that makes sense, I guess. Very well. Well, Basil wants to do some break-ins, so I guess we should focus on that, I suppose.
Yes.
We're getting paid for that.
Are you sure you're up to it, Golag?
Oh, and he straightens his vest and brushes off his trousers at that last crumb, and tip top. And
Glances across the room are taken, I suspect.
How many diversions do you think that we could successfully do at our friends from IOU?
Well, I'm happy to go for an evening stroll if that would help, because I don't think I'll be much use trying to break into somewhere stealthily.
I think we should try to call them they or us, and that seems to be the more appropriate name, since they got one of your former employees, Golag.
How should we proceed? You think?
I'm just now thinking that we escaped seemingly twice or maybe 3 times without being noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And
or maybe
as
they
far
did.
as I know,
Or maybe they did notice.
Oh yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it? Like, so for instance, Matthias could follow us. I think we wouldn't notice him.
Well, I could take a walk back to the clinic and take a strange route that they might suspect me going somewhere else and follow me to
or we could
away from you.
Yeah, or we could each 4 of us could make different ways and then meet somewhere.
It's at that point that you guys hear a pretty frantic beating at the door. You can hear a woman's voice saying, "Golag! Mr. Golag! Dr. Earthsprung!"
Sylvan, see about that racket at the front, would you?
He's passing by, seeing to it, sir. And as the door is thrown open, both Golag and Dr. Earthsprung, having heard it so recently, you quite easily recognize Mrs. King's voice. And what you hear her cry out, "They took her! They took her!"
Who, madam?
So if you say that someone will lead her in, she looks absolutely distraught. Her eyes are red and puffy, and she's weeping. And she says, "It was someone from the Order of Saint Sylvester. A man, the name Steele."
Did he call himself Sir Barnabas Steele?
She turns and says, "You know him."
Unfortunately, yes, we had the acquaintance, yes.
And that is where we will leave things before our next session. So, for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for session 4, chapter 4, part 4, The Guile of the Gaslight Man. As is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the campaign, or the game we're playing, please do not hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. There's also a link down below to the Dungeon Musings Discord server, where we have a channel dedicated to the Spires of Paridar campaign, as well as most of the campaigns and games we run on the channel, as well as a bunch of other things like finding a group, or GM discussion, or convention chat, or there's just a great and helpful and knowledgeable community that has built up over the years over there, and you are more than welcome to join us. There's also a link down below to something to our friends at Noble Knight Games. Now, Noble Knight Games, we normally have a discount code listed there, but I have yet to update it. It expired at the end of June, and it's a week into July already. If you come to one of our more recent videos at a later date, then you will find what the discount code is. The Noble Knight Games is the preeminent unionized retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America. Not only do they have a great selection of new role-playing games, board games, and card games, they have an unmatched selection of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs. Normally, well, for one thing, if they have something listed in their extensive collection that is not in stock, you can put it on a want list, and when it comes in stock, they will send you an email and you can pick it up at your leisure. And once we have our updated discount code, you will be able to enter that and save 10% on any purchase of $10 or more through their website. There's also a link down below to something called Heroes Save Villages, which is the charity fundraising campaign we run on the channel. It benefits the SOS Children's Villages International Charity, a really incredible organization active in over 130 countries, benefiting over 80,000 orphaned and abandoned children. All donations through that link go directly to them. None of it goes to the channel or any other middleman. It just goes to benefit the kids who are serviced by the SOS Children's Villages International. And as a small way of saying thank you to the donors from this year, if you donated $25 or more since January 1st, 2024, head on over to the Charity Initiatives channel at the end of July, and you will be able to start voting on the remaining sessions remaining charity sessions we'll be running this year, which will be a series of mashups. We'll be taking classic adventures from one RPG and having the donors vote on what games we will play those adventures, or at least part of those adventures, with. Now, we're hoping to have some really inventive mashups. This is in part is inspired by Ingolf's Dungeon 23 and Dungeon 24 project, where he's taken all the adventures from Dungeon Magazine 23 and now 24 and running them with different games. We'll be doing something quite similar for this. So, and on top of the pairing of the mashup, you will also be voting on what kind of characters we're going to play in the session. The last thing I will say is a huge thank you to our stalwart illuminators. So Darren, James, Ingolf, and Sean, thank you so much for playing today. I will be leaving for vacation very shortly, and I'll be on vacation from July 12th to July 23rd, and during that time, we will not be running any games on the channel, but I will be back on the 23rd, and then we'll be picking up the schedule as usual. There are a number of other members of the community and members of the player roster who have channels themselves, and you can find that on the other streamers channel on the Dungeon Musings Discord server. So if you're looking for something to fill the gap in the interim, you can find stuff over there. Otherwise, we'll be back in 4 weeks' time to see what our heroes are going to be uncovering next in this current mystery. But until then, we hope that we gave you a few hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the troubles that our heroes are uncovering in their current mystery, the Guile of the Gaslight Man. And until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.